Freestyle should feel smooth and effortless. And if it doesn't, you're making at least one of these 5 mistakes, and they're all fixable today. My name is Andre. I was a World Championship Finalist and a World Junior Champion. And after reviewing videos every day inside of Swim Success Training app, I've noticed 5 big mistakes that's slowing people down every single day. So here's a quick fix to each one. First mistake is breathing. And the problem here is that people either breathe to the both sides or they're not breathing often enough. Swimming is a unique sport where we don't have constant access to the air, compared, for example, to running or cycling. So we have to still breathe quite often, because if we don't breathe, we'll get tired very fast. Our muscles, our body needs oxygen. Otherwise, the muscles start to oxidize and you will get tired after just 50 or 100 meters. So the solution here is to breathe every 2 strokes to one side so you can have as much oxygen coming every second to your body and you're not gonna oxidize. And then there's another question pops up: why we should not breathe to both sides? And I want to bring just a simple analogy to it. Imagine you're writing with both of your hands. You write one sentence with your right and then you write one sentence with your left. Obviously, one writing will be looking much better than the other one. And the same works for freestyle. The same works for breathing and swimming. Myself, I was a good swimmer and I have quite a good technique, but I still know when I breathe to the right, I feel much more natural compared to when I breathe to the left. I'm a right arm dominant, so I feel much more comfortable breathing to the right. But when I breathe to the left, even though I still look good, I know that my head is lifting 1 centimeter more. And because of that, in the long run, it will affect my swimming because it will compound. Yes, if I swim 50 meters, there's not a big deal. But if I breathe constantly to both sides, first of all, I'm not feeling comfortable. Second of all, breathing to the left will be always slightly worse. So why should I pick the worst side when I know that I can just stick to the one side? I will be breathing more often because I'm breathing every 2, not every 3, and everything will get easier. I'll have more oxygen, my technique looks good, and I will swim much faster. The only small rule I want to add here is don't breathe every stroke. So don't need to breathe stroke to the right and then stroke to the left, because it will disrupt your rhythm. You will not be able to swim fast at all, because we don't want to move our head that much. So the optimal is breathing every 2 strokes to one side. Second mistake is kicking, and to be even more precise is kicking too much. Remember, our legs have the biggest muscles in our body. It's our quads, glutes, and hamstrings. And if you engage them non-stop, you will get tired as much faster than you're supposed to. And on top of that, your legs won't be able to generate as much propulsion as your arms. That's why swimming in general is the arms dominant sport, and you have to be very precise with it. So we have 6-bit kick and we have 2-bit kick. If your goal is to swim as fast as possible, yes, you can kick non-stop. That's what we call a 6-bit kick. But if your goal is to swim long distance and be efficient, then you should pick 2-bit kick. For example, if you're a triathlete and you swim long distance in the open water, then definitely you should take 2-bit kick, because in this case, your legs not gonna take any of your energy, your arms will get tired, but then after the swimming, your legs will still be fresh. So think about freestyle in general as 80-20 rule, where we spend 80% of our energy on our arms and only 20% on our legs. So your legs should play a supportive role to keep your body high and keep you in balance. And when you're going to be learning 2-bit kick, there's one important rule you have to know. You have to kick on the same side of the working arm. So when you pull with the right arm, you have to kick with the right leg. It's slightly counterintuitive because, for example, in running it's cross-connected, right? And like in any other sport it's cross-connected. But only in freestyle, only in swimming, we want to stay and glide from side to side like a canoe. So you pull and kick on the same side all the time. You swim with the right arm, right leg, and then after that, you kick with the left leg and you pull with the left arm. Another thing I want to talk about is about if you swim and you get tired very fast, most likely it's not about your technique, but it's about your fitness. It's about how you train. And if you want to train properly like a professional, you can download our Swim Success Training app. Right now, we're the only app that actually adapts to you and your goal every single week. So when you train, it doesn't matter what your goal is, you will always know that the training is uniquely and personalized completely only to you. So you can progress every single week. And the first 7 days are completely for free. I will leave link in the description. Mistake number 3 is about your gliding. And the main problem of what I see with more than half of the people that I review their stroke is people breathe and catch at the same time. And we have 3 big problems with it. First one, when you're in the side position, you're not going to be able to leverage your body rotation, so you're going to use only your shoulder. Second problem is when you're using only your shoulder, your risk of overworking it. So the risk of the injury increases drastically. And the third problem, when you breathe and catch, when you stay in the side position, it's almost physically impossible to do a high elbow catch. And if you cannot do high elbow catch, which is one of the most important things in swimming, you will stay slow. So the fix here is to wait and keep your arm gliding while you're breathing. And then you can only initiate your catch when your head starts moving back to the neutral position. Imagine like you're throwing a jab, right, in a boxing. If you just throw your arm, it's not gonna be powerful. But if you use your whole body, it will be much easier to do, and also it will be much more powerful. So we want to do exactly the same thing with your catch. We want to leverage our body rotation so it will be easier and more powerful. So wait when your body will start to rotate back to the neutral position, and only then initiate your catch. Mistake number 4 is your recovery phase. Freestyle has one core rule. We spend energy under the water when we catch and pull water, and then when the arm is above, we should rest and recover it as much as possible. So here's the two school of thoughts that actually I agree with both. There's a straight arm recovery and there is a bent arm recovery. And actually, if you want to be a good swimmer, you need to know how to do both of them because they need for different purposes. The straight arm recovery works perfect for the fast, short swimming because you will be able to increase your stroke rate and keep it as high as possible compared to the bent arms. But the problem with it is when you swim with the straight arms, your forearm and your hand is not relaxed, so you will get tired much sooner. So if you swim 25 meters or like 50 yards all out, yes, you can use straight arms. But if you swim longer distances, if your goal is to swim effortless and swim nice and smooth, I would suggest you to do a high elbow recovery. Because in this case, your forearm and hand will be literally hanging in the air and you will be able to recover it as much as possible. So later, you'll have much more power for a new catch and pull. And to do that is actually quite simple. When you finish your push phase, use only your shoulder to lift your arm above the water and everything else literally hanging. And the last mistake in this video is about your rotation. And to be more specific, it's not about your shoulders, because with shoulders it's quite simple and I will explain it later, but it's more about your hips. Because with the shoulders, we have a very simple rule. One shoulder in the water, one shoulder out of the water. And to be even more precise, you have to keep one shoulder close to your cheek when you glide, so you will be able to cut through the water and not create any resistance, and the other shoulder should be completely out of the water. And when people watching you swim, they need to see your armpit dry. This way you'll have a perfect angle of rotation. But if you think about it even more simpler, you can rotate your shoulders freely. But what most people do wrong here is that they think that they can rotate their hips the same amount as their shoulders. But in reality, if you rotate your hip too much, it does two things. First of all, you start to sink much faster. Ideal kick, what we want to do is to kick downward and upward. But if you over-rotate your hips, you start kicking sideways. You start kicking to the left and to the right, and you're not going to be able to generate a lot of propulsion. Even if you have good kicking, your legs will still sink just because of the wrong hip rotation. And even though it sounds slightly counterintuitive, because when people turn to the side, they over-rotate, they start to sink, and they spread out their legs outside so that it will prevent them from sinking. But in reality, what it does is because your legs go out of the body line, it starts to create even more resistance and you start to sink even more. And to add one small thing here, when we breathe, we tend to rotate slightly more because of the head rotation. But here is also very important to not let your hips rotate the same amount, because especially when we breathe, that's where we sink the most. So you have to really take care of your hip rotation. Swimming in general is heavily dependent on your technique, but without the training, you're still not going to be able to progress fast. Yes, you might have a good technique, but if you cannot swim long distance, if you cannot swim more than 200, 300, and especially do it with the good pace, there's nothing you can do, and many people will be much faster even if they have bad technique. But thankfully, inside our Swim Success Training app, you can do both of the things. That's where you send the video for me, where I personally review it and give you a deep review on what's right, what's wrong, what your next step should be, what drills you should do, and many more, so you know exactly what you should do next and how to progress. And then on top of that, you will have a proper training structure that adapts only to you and your unique goal. So everything what you need to improve at swimming in one place. Link will be in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you, and see you soon.